Welcome to another episode of The Traumatic Tales of Dedman and Grumpy. So, as this is taking place of the second digital dismemberment, this is where we have some fun with some B-grade horror films. The rating system is a little bit different, so Grumpy, tell them how we do it.
Well, we got a three-tier system to kind of cover all of the bases here in the movies that we'll be watching. We're going to start off on Skulls. Skulls is your first tier, and that's going to be like the scariness or the, things that give the movie a real horror flavor, or maybe even commendable things they might do with special effects and things like that. Bones will be on a level of 1 to 5, and that's for you guys out there that are looking for a little something for the spank bank. If you want to hold on to that for a while. If a nipple will make an appearance, there will definitely be at least a 1.5 bone score. Hopefully that is just one full bone score for you. And finally we have leaves. We will recommend 1 to 5 leaves. One leaf being like that pill grandma left on the counter, where 5 is, you're sucking on tequila with a bong in your ass. Okay, so There you go. That kind of lets you know what the rules are, and you guys play along at home.
So let's get right into it. And the name of tonight's movie is Rabid, the 1977 horror sci-fi classic from the director David Cronenberg. To give you the background info on this film, a young woman develops a taste for human blood after undergoing experimental plastic surgery, and her victims turn into rabid, bloodthirsty zombies who proceed to infect others, which turns into a citywide epidemic. This movie stars, of course, the adult film star Marilyn Chambers, as well as Frank Moore, Joe Silver, Howard Reichpan, Patricia Gage, Susan Romand, Terry Schonblum, Gary McKinnon, and Miguel Fernandez. And to me, this is definitely a classic film. This is one of my all-time favorites, especially from David Cronenberg. And of course, it's getting the remake treatment from the Soska sisters here coming up, who I interviewed recently for issue 13 of Coughing Cuties. What did you think of the film, Grumpy?
Well, it definitely had that 1977 feel to it.
Yes, it did.
All the rayon suits, the good Lord, the interiors on this movie. Enjoyable movie. A whole lot of good stuff for everybody in this movie, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's, I've covered this in Digital Dismemberment, and it's funny, there's a lot of people read a lot of subtext into this film, whether it's an allegory for the AIDS epidemic, or venereal disease, distrust of the healthcare system, especially considering in 77 plastic surgery was still kind of a new science. What was your take on that, looking at 77, how they viewed it to how it is today?
I'm not sure it was an allegory for the AIDS epidemic. When your primary character in the movie has a vagina with a steel-tipped penis hiding in her armpit, this would be a vagina hiding a steel-tipped penis in her armpit. So she lifts up her arm. There's no whiskers there. There's just this weird little vagina, and there is a penis that comes out of the vagina with a spearhead on it to get the victims. Truly original. I do see, okay, so this is the host, and it starts this disease off, and then all the people turn into zombies that have some kind of green spatch coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Almost like that granny spatch we heard about with last week's sponsor.
That's true. That is very true. And you're right. There is a lot to like in this movie. There's blood, there's gore. I don't think anything is over excessive. I mean, we don't really see anyone getting ripped open or anything quite that fantastic. But it is interesting to note, like I said, this was Marilyn Chambers' move from adult films to mainstream acting, and I thought she did a good job. Cronenberg's a great director. He brings good things out in his cast and crew. And again, I feel like there's so much to like. It's a believable story. The fear of martial law being declared in your city. What would happen? What would you do?
People riding around in dumpsters, shooting people on sight, throwing them into the back of the dumpster. Something in this movie that you don't see very often is vampirism on a farm animal. And, we do see our main character go up and insert the steel-tipped penis into a cow. Not anywhere funky, just like the shoulder, the side, or whatever it was. And then find out just a few moments later that she is indeed lactose intolerant, and she regurgitates that, but is lucky enough to have a human victim come along and,
sacrifice an eyeball.
Yeah, he does sacrifice an eyeball, and I guess you could say her little penis skull bugged him.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair assessment. It's almost interesting too. You look at modern audiences, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Soskas do with this. Even for 1977, if you look at it in a way, you could almost say this movie has a feminist underpinning to it.
It surely does. The main character is a very strong lead actor. She is a very talented female. I could not tell that she was a adult film star performer. Before that, she does give a few little that kind of might hint you in that direction that she might have some experience in that. But she did have very good acting skills and made a good quality character for the movie.
You had mentioned we talk about things like set design and stuff, and you mentioned how very 70s the movie felt and looked. You have to admit some of that interior design and some of that clothing was impressive. A lot of fur.
Lots of fur, but not in those places you would expect it in a 70s movie.
Yeah, that's a valid point, too.
Lots of fur coats. The animal liberation hadn't happened yet. No, we spoke about that just a minute ago when we were talking about a cow and lactose intolerance. But, we were also talking about these interiors with this absolutely heinous, why would you do LSD and walk into this fucking house? Shag carpet that's 1.5 inches deep. You've got the wallpaper that is covered in this crazy gold designs, and then the pictures are just like, I'm gonna put some lines and then frame it.
Right.
Done. My interior's done. Yeah, and I'm gonna put this in a movie because it's awesome.
You can certainly laugh. Of course, times were different. We're talking about 1977 compared to 2018, but you can definitely see why medical restrictions cracked down on surgical practices like that.
And what happened when the cost of gas went up, because everybody in this movie drives a fucking humongous car.
I mean, that's true. We never did see any gas prices, but we did see a Sunoco.
Yeah, we did see a Sunoco, and I was quite amazed that I actually saw a Sunoco. I could tell my kids about it one day.
Oh, man. And the other thing that was really cool about this is this film was funded by the Canadian government. And I remember I think they still do it to this day.
Hey, you need some money for a movie, eh?
And as I recall, a couple of stories, the only movies that made their money back were like movies that Cronenberg did where he got money from them. But the government was kind of ashamed that they were horror films and didn't really herald the success of the program because his films were the only ones making money. So that says something to his talent.
Well, it's all the cops that had to wear their helmets while riding around in cars, that kind of blocked the government's, blocked their hearing of how good this movie was. I don't know. But yeah, crackers wearing helmets inside cars and they're not doing stunts. You're just like, okay, what the fuck's going on? Where's this motorcycle? Oh, it's in his car. Okay, I get it now.
Well, it was hiding in the car, yeah.
Exactly.
That was definitely a little strange, but it was funny at the same time. So, again, I thought this was a really enjoyable movie. This is one that you have your friends over, imbibe, and enjoy. So, let's get to our ratings. As far as skulls go for David Cronenberg's Rabid, I would give this movie a 3.5 to a 4. It definitely has its creepy moments. I thought, as Grumpy mentioned, that the makeup and how the attacks went were pretty innovative. So I have to give a lot of credit there. Bones, this one is definitely on the 4 side. I mean, for those of you who do know your adult film history, I mean, it is Marilyn Chambers. She was an extremely attractive woman. She's very beautiful in this film. There are a lot of scenes of her topless and other positions. So I mean, it's definitely interesting. She definitely brings something to the role. As far as stimulants go, I mean, you can enjoy this on a 1 or a 5. I'm a big fan of Cronenberg's films, so I can enjoy this being completely sober. I could do this completely bombed out of my mind.
Looking at skulls in this movie, you're in the 70s. If you expect to see a little muff, because it's the 70s, right? But, you know, you don't see a muff around an armpit vagina with a penis hiding inside of it. I'm going to give this movie 2 skulls, just because it wasn't really scary, but there was a lot of innovation there as far as what they had available to them at the time. Bones, a solid 2.25 for me. Lots of boob action, lots of stuff to kind of store in that old spank bank for you, till it's time for shower and you can enjoy yourself. They did miss out on a perfect opportunity in a hot tub with 2 women, and it could have gone so much better than it did. But as far as stimulants goes, I'm at a 2.5 or higher on this movie, just to help you get over some of the heinous backgrounds that you're going to see, some of the hairstyles, the clothes, and even a big old honker on one guy that you just cannot get over. This guy was aero-fucking-dynamic. Another girl wore glasses that let her see into the future. And
eyebrows.
And the eyebrow guy, oh my God. He had woolly worms on there. Apparently 1977 had a really bad winter.
Overall, again, a fun movie, and we definitely recommend that you check out David Cronenberg's Rabid. And now a word from this week's sponsor.
This week's sponsor is Schnoz and Brows. Schnoz and Brows is a facial care system helping you maintain that 1970s pre-plastic surgery look. Do you want a fucking honker of a nose? Use a convenient schnoz expansion chamber to your face, and in 5 painful minutes, your nose will require its own zip code. If you've had problems expressing your face, you need the specialized brow growth formula. Apply this elixir to your forehead at bedtime 3 nights a week, and at the end of the month, you'll have the biggest set of fucking woolly worms you've ever seen on your head. Be sure to find Schnoz and Brows in the 1970s, where we fucking left them. Individual results may vary.